Hello, and welcome. My name is Amber, and I own Amber's Locum Consulting, and I'm a bookkeeper, among a couple of other things. But bookkeeping is what we're going to talk about today. Bookkeeping is where I am focusing my energy right now, and I really want to talk about that with you today. We are going to discuss why you should use something like QuickBooks or Wave instead of, or what are the advantages of using QuickBooks or Wave accounting as opposed to spreadsheets and things like that. And then what are the downsides? So if you're unfamiliar, you can connect Wave accounting and QuickBooks and things like that. I'm going to focus on Wave because I feel like if you are using spreadsheets to do your accounting work, there's a reason, right? Usually, in my opinion and my experience, it's because people are trying to save money. And so in an effort to kind of keep that idea in place, I really want to focus on in that area. All right, so Wave accounting is completely free. They even have a payroll option. They have a situation where you can actually pay them, and they will do your books for you. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. I think that oftentimes you can find somebody locally or a small business person who can really help you out with that, and then you're not paying a big corporation. Does that make sense? You're helping small businesses, which I'm all for. However, they do have a free option for all of their services where you would use it simply like you would QuickBooks. And they even have the option where you can scan your receipts now and keep those on there, which is totally important, and I'll cover that in another video. But the reason that you would choose to use something like this over spreadsheets is because, for the most part, with most banks, it will automatically pull your transactions in, and then all you have to do is go through and categorize them and split them if they need to be split, things like that. And in this case, that is important because if you were having to put these into a spreadsheet, yes, you could download your transactions from your bank and just load them into a spreadsheet every month and then go through and write it in, already have your categories set up and in the spreadsheet, and then you just pick which one. However, there's nothing that's going to automatically, not without you really spending some time setting up some worksheets, there's nothing that's going to automatically calculate how much goes into each category. Whereas something like Wave or QuickBooks, again, we're going to focus on Wave, but some type of accounting software is going to do all of those things for you, so that when you try to go to do your balance sheets, when you go to do your profit and loss statements, you're not having to manually calculate those things out. And let me tell you, that would be time consuming. However, there are some instances, USAA Bank in particular, I'm looking at you, USAA, because this is a problem on your end, not on Wave's end. It does not pull the transactions properly, no matter what you do. I have worked and worked and worked, and it does not work. So if you have something like USAA, or you start using Wave and you find that your transactions are not being pulled in properly, PS, anything from Square, anything from PayPal, Venmo, any of those are not going to pull regardless of the software that you use. You will have to manually enter those transactions, period. I also did want to mention that Wave offers invoicing and payment processing as well, which is how they make a good bit of their money. So they're inexpensive. They have ACH, so you can pull directly from people's checking accounts, and they can set that up. So there's no, sharing of bank account information and any of that. It's no big deal. So if you're working with people overseas, this is an option to reduce the fees on both of your parts. You can do things like, and in addition, when you send out an invoice and you use their payment processing software, all of that information is already there. So you're not having to manually enter transactions. You just go to the invoice and click paid, or it automatically says that it's paid once they do pay. And then that goes directly in. The only thing you have to do is go in to that income line of income and go, yep, this was sales. Or if you have separate accounts and you're tracking certain things, like let's say you were uh, let's say you're a salon, and you were trying to keep track of, like, was this a cut, was this a color, was this income from products, and you kind of want to see where your higher sales are, or you're wanting to go by stylist in particular. Like, okay, so we want to see that Angela had X number of clients this month, and you know, Barb knocked it out of the park and had 10 times more the clients. What can we do to either help have Barb maybe do a marketing class, or maybe Angela needs to go and get some more education because all she's doing is cuts, and Barb is doing cuts, colors, and perms. And then you can kind of categorize your income that way and see where it's all coming from. And all of that is really, really important. Now, you don't have to do any of that. You could just say, this is income, this is income, and that the income is coming from sales, period. Doesn't really matter. It's a matter of metrics and how you personally want to track your stuff. And I'll kind of go have a video for that. Like, how do you set up your chart of accounts? And what are the types of things that I'll create a little workbook, like how to kind of figure out what you want to track, because there may be things that you haven't quite thought of, and until you are ready to hire a bookkeeper, you're not going to think about those things. So, but the advantage of using Wave is that you can do that, and it would automatically calculate those things for you, as opposed to you having to look through, and delete a whole bunch of columns, because anytime you pull out your transactions from your bank account, there's like all these extra columns, and it doesn't always work. Um, really being able to keep track of each account. If you have a savings account, you have a checking account, you have a cash account, all of those things have to be tracked. And if you're not keeping track of those things, your books are going to be completely out of alignment. And so it's a really good idea to keep track of that. And to make sure everything is separate so that you can understand what's really happening in your business. The only downside that I know of to using Wave is, again, if your bank doesn't pull in the transactions properly. I use two different banks, and one of them has absolutely no problems. The other one, on the other hand, has a massive amount of problems. And on the flip side, one of my clients was using QuickBooks Online, and he was a member of the credit union. I'm pointing that way because literally the bank is on the other side of my house, directly that direction. And it wasn't pulling, it just continuously, we were having so many problems pulling his transactions in. And we both finally said, what the heck are you paying for? Because it's just not working. And he was spending like $30 a month. And I'm like, this is insane. On top of having to pay me to go into the bank and pull the transactions and like la 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 la. I'm like, this is insane. Let's just move to a different system. And so we moved him over to Wave and he hasn't had a problem since. However, I physically cannot use Wave for my own personal books because it does the same thing. So you may find a system that works better than with your bank and another system that won't work with your bank. So just make sure that, if you're using a system and you're finding that there's a lot of problems pulling your transactions properly every single month, it may be time to look for a different system. And there may be some systems that are better than others for that sort of thing. And I'm happy to help you with that. I've worked extensively with QuickBooks Online. I've worked extensively with Wave. I'm not as familiar with Zero, so I can't say that I recommend that. Their pricing structure is a little weird for me. Some people really love it, and some people really love things like FreshBooks. And I would say FreshBooks would work for someone who is not doing a lot of transactions. If you are not doing a ton of transactions, but you're maybe doing a bit of billing, that might be, and maybe not a ton of that either, because it's all based on how many clients you have. Um, it could or it could not be the best system for you. So I would highly recommend that you contact a bookkeeper, really discuss the options and figure out, what is the best system for you. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'd love to help you out with that. If you are ready to hire a bookkeeper, or you are not sure if you're ready to hire a bookkeeper, but you'd like to discuss what that might look like, I would be happy to help you out with that. Go ahead and leave a comment. I will leave my website address down below. And what it'll let you do is actually just send a message to me, and it'll tell me that you're ready to schedule bookkeeping services, and we can set up a meeting to chat about you and your needs and what would be best for you. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time. See ya. Bye.